Hello, my name is Adrian Nestor of Angels Camp, and in the next few minutes I would like to explain to you a project that should touch the hearts of all of the residents of Calaveras. What we're attempting to do here is to reconstruct this Ramaggi home, this adobe home that was built in the 1850s by James Ramaggi. In this area he panned his first $1,000 that allowed him to go over to Malones and buy an interest in another gold mine that eventually secured him somewhere between $30,000 and $40,000. This permitted him to come back into this area and buy this 100-acre plot that you see here today and build this home in which he married his bride and reared his 6 children. This is a great opportunity for us to rebuild this and reconstruct it as his original home and turn it into a museum for gold mine families. This is the entrance to the Catholic Cemetery in Angels Camp, which is the final resting place for many of the gold country families that contributions paved the way or formed the basis for Calaveras County that we enjoy so much today. Many of the names engraved here have descendants that live here today and can relate wonderful historical stories about their great-grandfathers and their great-grandmothers. These gold country pioneers, by their blood, sweat, and tears, and their many, many trials, tribulations, and triumphs, paved the way for what we enjoy today in the Mother Lode. Some of the names that appear here are Pirano, Prothero, Prince, Oneida, Canepa, Riola, Raggio, and of course, Ramaggi. Girolamo Ramaggi is the first headstone, the father of the clan, who changed his name later on to James. He came around the Horn in 1850 looking for gold. Also Andrea Ramaggi, their second child of 6, and of course Louisa Ramaggi. The view we are looking at now is looking from the west side, looking toward Route 49. This shows all sections of the home built with stone, even though the 4th addition was built with wood. What a wonderful example to show how gold from the Mother Lode permitted an Italian immigrant to buy his homestead, build his home for his family, much like they did in his native Genoa, Italy, where he was a stonemason. Note the smaller windows on the 3rd addition. This section was built a little bit differently in the style of constructions. The walls were less thick, and it was basically used for a dry storage area store, in which they stored coffee, sugar, flour, and meats. Examining the 2nd addition, built to match the main house that was built in 1852, 150 years ago, this southern addition matches the main home with 2 walls and locust headers shipped in from China that keeps the doors and windows square after all these years. This portion of the 2nd addition was a wine cellar. When Highway 49 passed next to the building before the 1985 relocation, a car ran into this end of the building, causing the damage you're seeing here. You can see the substantial floor joists to support the floors for the area where the stagecoach passengers slept overnight. Also, the steel reinforcing rods that ran side within the house with large plates on the outside holding the walls to maintain their strength. Note the large rocks placed over the wine cellar door. What workmanship! Instead of continuing in the search for more gold, James Ramaggi became door, bar, and card room owner and operator while fathering and rearing 6 children in the same building. Notice the windows for the upstairs sleeping rooms and the doors leading to each separate section. You can see as we move around that it was built in 4 steps or stages to match his family as the Ramaggis grew from 2 to 8 people in a total of 17 years. This picture shows the extent of fruit trees that surrounds the home in the late 1860s. The pipe bringing water for irrigation can be seen at the bottom left, the vineyard to the top right, and then the Miwok Indians who roamed and lived in the woods behind their house halfway up the hill, and a miner's tent at the very crest. It appears from this picture that the Ramaggis grew their own fruits and vegetables for their own use as well as supply the store. While we show you other aspects of the structure, let me explain some details about the home today. It has been unoccupied since in the 1930s, and weather and father time has started to take their toll. The .69 acres of the site is presently owned through 6 shares of stock. The application to have the home designated as a National Historical Landmark will be made in January 2003. This will open the possibility for grants and matching funds to reconstruct the home as a museum. Source of the funds for this project will come from the following places: California Parks and Recreation, Proposition 40, Highway 49 Corridor, Ebbets Pass Scenic Byway, private donors, foundations, and charitable fundraisers. We also will be asking local contractors, once we have title to the property, to donate 1 day of their respective trade, plumbing, electrical, roofing, to bring the building up to today's standards of a historical landmark. You can almost hear the noise from the bar and the store as we look inside and hear footsteps of children playing and running around upstairs. Route 49, the old location, ran right in entrance to the home and the store. And the store was located to the right of the main door, and the bar to the rear of the room, with steps along the back wall leading to the bedrooms upstairs. The card table was to the left of the door. The hook in the ceiling is to raise a 4x4 trapdoor to get access to the roof cellar underneath the main floor. The first floor, as well as the second, have been burned over a period of time for heat during the Depression when homeless hobos occupied the home. I would like to mention at this time that we're setting up a charitable foundation for the Gold Country Family Museum under the Calaveras Community Foundation at the beginning of 2003 to administer the funds for the reconstruction. They also will handle the grants and the donors, tax deductible, and file all the appropriate tax returns. The iron hinges are for the typical solid iron shutters that were used in those days for security, and you can see these all over the mother lode as you go from building to building. We have also contacted a company in San Francisco that does this type of stone reconstruction and should be getting an estimate from them in early 2003. We also have been in contact with an architectural firm in Fremont that rebuilt an adobe in Fremont that was constructed in 1842. If anyone listening to this program is aware of some local stonemasons or firms that also do this type of reconstruction and are local, please call me and pass on this information, or pass a request to someone you know that may be interested in helping on or participating. This is the north end of the building, where it's only the wooden admission was made. You can see where the roof line met the stone structure when we took this first video on November the 22nd. As you think back over the last few minutes of looking at this fine 150-year-old home, right on the main highway that all the tourists and history buffs and sightseers travel right by, that in all those 150 years, no one has tried to restore or maintain this beautiful example of our mother lode Gold Country heritage. So, here is our chance to keep this monument from passing into a pile of stone. How many times have you wondered about how great it would be to still have the train tracks from Sonora to Angels Camp? How about the Lightner Mine or the Utica? Now maybe those were impossible to reconstruct, but what jewels they would be for our tourist trade and additional tax dollars to Calaveras County today. If you're interested in finding out more about this project and lending a hand in the reconstruction process, please call Adrian Nestor at 209-736-9522. When we first videoed this home on November the 22nd, this particular wall that you're looking at now was standing erect. On December the 16th, during the storm that we had here locally that had a tremendous amount of wind and a lot of rain over a 2-day, this wall crumbled to earth. And this is exactly what we mentioned earlier on in the fact that Father Time and nature takes its toll on this kind of a structure that was built over 150 years ago. So our intent to try to accelerate this program to get this building reconstructed before anything like this happens to the other parts of the structure.
Parte bastimento per terra assai lontana cantano a burde son napolitana.